What if I told you Crash Bandicoot wasn't just another failed experiment, but the closest thing Dr. Neo Cortex ever had to a son? Not a soldier, not a weapon, a son. And when Crash escaped, it didn't just ruin Cortex's plans, it broke him. To understand this, we need to go back to the very beginning. Before the rivalry, before the boss fights, before Crash was the hero, he was just subject number one. The first real success of Cortex's experiments, the one that was meant to lead his army, and unlike the dozens of other mutants, Crash wasn't meant to be just another mindless henchman. He was chosen for a higher purpose. Cortex even went as far as naming him Crashworth Cortex the First. Think about that. He gave him his own name, something he never did prior and never did again. It's not just ownership, it's identity. And believe it or not, Crash's iconic blue shorts were actually a hand-me-down from Dr. Neo Cortex himself, who gifted them to his favorite experiment, as revealed in the flashback tapes. Crash wasn't some background experiment sitting in a test tube. Cortex personally oversaw his development. He put him through trials, tested his strength, his intelligence, and his ability to lead. This wasn't random. Cortex was shaping something, refining it, expecting something great. Crash was meant to be his fearless general, the face of his empire. And when you look at it like that, it starts to feel less like science and more like investment. Time, effort, focus. The kind of attention you don't give to something disposable. The kind you give to something important. But here's where it gets interesting. Cortex didn't just want Crash to be strong. He wanted him to be controlled, perfect, obedient. And underlying this desire for control was a fear of rejection. If you look at Cortex's character, he doesn't know what healthy relationships look like. And that's mostly due to his own dark and twisted upbringing. He was raised by a family that abused and bullied him. There was no warmth, no guidance, just pressure and expectation. He never saw a healthy, loving relationship modeled, and therefore doesn't know how to demonstrate these attributes himself. So when he pushes Crash, when he tests him, when he's hard on him, that might actually be the closest thing Cortex has to care. In his mind, he's not being cruel, he's preparing him, shaping him into what he's supposed to be. And then, it all falls apart. The Cortex Vortex, the final step, the moment where Crash was supposed to become fully obedient, fails, and Crash maintains his free will. And then he does the one thing Cortex never expected. He leaves, he escapes. From our perspective, that's the birth of a hero. But from Cortex's perspective, that's something very different. That's not just failure, that's rejection. I created you, I named you, I trained you, and you choose to leave me? And this is where the theory really comes together, because after Crash escapes, Cortex changes. He becomes more obsessive, more controlling, and more desperate. He keeps creating more mutants, trying to recreate what he lost, but none of them are Crash. None of them are his first. And you can almost see it every time he fights Crash. It's not just anger, there's frustration, there's obsession, there's something personal there, because Crash isn't just an enemy, he's a reminder of the one thing Cortex created that he couldn't control. So maybe Crash wasn't Cortex's greatest failure. Maybe he was his greatest success, just not in the way Cortex could ever understand. Because Cortex set out to create obedience, control, and perfection. But what he actually created was free will. A being that could think for itself, choose for itself, even reject him. And that's the great paradox, because the very thing Cortex saw as a failure was the one thing that made Crash real. Because you can't force loyalty. You can't manufacture love. If something is programmed to obey you, that's not devotion, that's slavery. Real connection, real meaning, it only exists when there's a choice to stay or a choice to walk away. And that's where this becomes something deeper, because this isn't just a story about a mad scientist and a mutant bandicoot. It parallels the same risk that God takes when he decides to make man, or a parent takes when they have a child. And that risk is you could one day be rejected by the thing you created, the thing you love. To open yourself up to invest time, identity, and purpose, knowing it might not love you back. But that's the cost of something real, because love, by its very nature, has to be freely given and freely accepted. And when Crash chose his own path, Cortex didn't just lose control. He experienced something he had tried to shield himself from ever since he was a child. Vulnerability. After that moment, Cortex shuts the door on vulnerability completely, refusing to ever feel that deeply again. And in so doing, he spirals into blinding obsession, chasing control with a fury that consumes him. So in the end, Crash wasn't just the bandicoot who broke free. He was the one who broke Cortex, shattering whatever fragile humanity he had left, and forging the maniacal villain we know today. And yet, every now and then, you can still catch a glimpse of it, something buried beneath the rage, a twisted, unrecognizable echo of what might once have been love. And that raises an even bigger question. If Crash was the son that rejected Cortex, then what does that make Coco? Because her story might be even stranger. If you want to see that breakdown next, be sure to leave a comment down below. As always, I'm Dan Down Squidz, and this is the home of nostalgic gaming and forgotten lore. Be sure to like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.